search for it. Every week, Aman search for it. Every week.
Good morning, you're listening to the Phil and Aman Search For podcast. I am your host, Phil, and I am joined by my co-host, Aman. Aman, shout-outs to the people today.
Hello, people. What's going
people.
on? Big shout-outs to the people. We got third week running, the juiciest episode yet. We got a fucking Halloween special today, boys and girls.
Halloween special for real. We got some good shit popping today. We're going to dive into it because we're pretty excited about this one. I know at least I've been thinking about it for the past week ever since we let people know on the end of last week's podcast.
I've been very excited for this one.
Yeah, so all right, let's hop right into it. So I'm going to start off real quick. I'm going to get into it hot and fast with not grinding my gears, but it's kind of, I'm going to give you a little bit of information on what I don't like, and it's probably going to grind your gears. So I don't really like the holidays at all. And this is going to sound really weird because we're doing a Halloween and a podcast episode about one of the holidays here. But yeah, I'm not a big person on holidays in general. As a kid, I really used to like them, and we'll get into a bit more about all our Halloween shenanigans. But yeah, I don't know, like for the last few years, especially like starting in high school, I just kind of haven't really been into holidays at all. I still, actively participate in them just because of family and friends and whatnot. But I don't really look forward to them that much. And
do you find that like since it's like we're like a little bit older, I also notice that I say the word like a lot when I ask questions. So I'm apologizing to the listeners for having to sit through that. But have you noticed that since you were younger that like, see, I did it again.
Okay.
It was easier to like get excited about those things because more or less ingrained in like every single day leading up to it, all the TV shows you'd be watching, all like the activities at school. There's like decorations, well, not so much nowadays, but like there'd be decorations like in the classroom and stuff like that, so it almost like got you like in the spirit without you consciously being in the spirit.
It definitely could have been that because I mean back then as a kid, there was a lot more activities, there was a lot more hype for it because I was just young and kind of look forward to time off school and everything like that. And I definitely think probably teachers had a lot to do with that, and as well as just being young and having friends that were all like, hey man, what are you dressing up for Halloween, happy birthday, like are you excited for Easter, like that type of shit. But yeah, for real, like I think just as like an adult now and like especially working in high school and like college throughout, and working like these minimum wage jobs and shit, and having to work those holidays and like I think I just saw the worst in people when it happened.
You lose your faith in the holiday.
Yeah, and especially like,
which is kind of jokes because they're all like, technically it's all just like dates, titles.
It's just a date, but like it's the people that put importance on it. But when people are coming in and they know it's a holiday, they know, and they go and they kind of joke with you, and they're like, oh, like I can't believe they're making you work through that Christmas
shit, bro.
It's just like, maybe if you didn't fucking come in, I wouldn't have to, you know what I mean? You're the reason why I have to work.
You're the reason why we're open, bitch.
Yeah, and especially too, because like sometimes like there are like holidays where like you'll make a shit ton of money, and then like other days, like one job I had in high school, I worked at a small cafe, and fucking the one Easter, everyone wanted to go home. I think we had like a total of like 15 customers the whole day, like the whole 8-hour shift. And like we mostly, the 8 of us that were there just like stood up front and we just talked shit. We talked about parties. We talked about, what we were going to do, like, with family. We talked about fucking everything. And we were a diverse group. Like I was the youngest, I think, at like 16, 17-ish. I think it was around then. And one of the girls was like my age now, 23, and she was talking about being she was a hockey coach for like a boys like junior or peewee or whatever the fuck the league was. And so she had a lot of really interesting stories, and so we kind of just like vibed on that. But working at other jobs and just being super busy, and customers were just rude. And, I guess that's typical of a minimum wage job. You can't really ask for much more, and people are just going to be shitty in general. But yeah, I don't know, that really put a damper on it.
For sure.
And so, coming into Halloween here, we're having a small little get together with our friends this week, and I still really enjoy that, and I still really kind of enjoy the dressing up and having fun with our friends and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But and like I for the last 2 years I gave it candy with my girlfriend and her sister the one year, and just my girlfriend last year, and it's still really good for the kids because they get excited, and in my girlfriend's area they don't really get too many kids, so like when the neighbor kids do come, it's kind of exciting for them, and we just give out like handfuls and handfuls. We're one of those houses, but yeah, like the magic's kind of lost for me, and I don't really know how to re-spark it besides just kind of enjoying it for the day that it is, for the face value, getting to spend time with my friends and not really caring too much more about it.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, that's kind of...
Most of the benefits of Halloween as an adult are pretty, like limited,
Yeah,
you don't
it's
get,
all
like,
alcohol-based, or,
Yeah.
like, I guess if you're single, it can be, like, sex-based, too, because you're like, oh, man, like...
What the
hot
fuck?
girl in the cat suit or whatever you're into, right? And that's kind of like your whole goal for, I guess, but like once you're kind of like past that, like I'm in a relationship, so I can't really be I can't do that, right?
I'm gonna say like probably the biggest benefit is getting all those deals on candies and like all
That's
those
true,
deals
and
on like chips and shit.
Discount shit after, like, immediately
Exactly.
the day after, they're like, hey man, you want a box of 100 little shitty Pringles or
Fuck
like
yeah.
whatever, and
Hell
it's just
yeah.
like it's $20 or whatever. The next day they're like, yeah, $5 clearance, take that
I know,
shit.
right? And it's like honestly, they're the perfect size for like a little snack. You gonna
Yeah,
go
they're
for
really
a walk.
good for school, I won't lie.
Hell yeah! In like July, man, them shits might be close to expired, but you're gonna be good, man. You're gonna be snacking nice on that little chip. You don't gotta carry a big ass Pringles container. You can have the small one.
Let me ask you this, man. When you did have that candy from, trick or treating or your parents buying it, did they like sneak into your bag and be like, oh man, like I gotta check for to make sure your candy's safe?
Yeah.
Because my parents did that. They, as soon as we get home, they'd be like, all right, you can have some, but we gotta go through it first.
Yeah, it was their
and of
tax.
course, yeah, that's what they call it, the parent tax or whatever, for taking you out. And then they'd be like, oh, here's a Kit Kat or two there, or like a small bag of chips there. And then they'd ration it off when you go to school.
I hated the rations, bro. I was a little fiend, bro.
Yeah,
I hated the
to,
rations.
Yeah, because they'd have our candy bags in their room and stuff like that, and then I'd be like, I'd be like, I want to have it in my room because I just want to eat all of my candy in one night.
Right?
And they'd be like, no, you get to take like a bag of chips and like a small candy bar to like for your lunch tomorrow, and that's one of your snacks. And then
Weird.
yeah, and I'm like, fuck, man, I don't want to wait until
That's
tomorrow.
actually funny you said the bag of chips and like the candy bar, because that was the same thing my mom did too.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like the bag
like
of
a
chips.
universal parent thing, man. Like,
That's
for real, they
fucking
just like
jokes.
want to harsh our vibes. I know, obviously, it's for our health, but as a child, they harsh
it's a pretty
their vibes.
reasonable thing to do at the end of the day. Like, it seems like the most logical thing to do with that mass amount of candy,
Yeah, especially because they're like, oh man, they take us to the dentist and they're like, oh man, you don't want to get a cavity, you don't want to get an upset stomach, and you're like, fuck that, give it to me.
Yeah, fuck
I
that
want
shit,
that. I
man.
want to vomit until
Burn
I
that hole in my intestine.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care if I have teeth. I'm gonna lose them anyways. Bring
Fuck
on
it.
my adult teeth, man. But no, yeah. So like that really like cheesed me as a kid too, because I'd be like, no. Even though they'd barely take any. It'd be like I said, like one bag of chips or like one candy bar or whatever. I was like, that's mine. That's my hard.
Yeah, you feel a
I
way
dressed
about
up
it
as
too.
a pirate today.
Yeah.
That's my candy.
You put those steps in, man. You had to get that shit. Yo, did you ever do this when like people had the bowl out with the sign that was like take one? Would you take one, or what would you do? What was the game
I
plan?
was a good kid. I took one. It still bugs me to this day that people take more than one, man. That's what the
Yeah?
sign is there. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sound like such a fucking loser here.
Oh
Did you take more than one?
Bro, man, it
You
was
took
a
the whole-
field day when I see that shit,
You
bro.
took the fucking
Holy,
whole
man.
bowl. All right.
Obviously, if there was like kids in the vicinity, you don't like take all of it. Like you
Yeah.
take like, you take your fair share, but you leave some loot for the boys. You leave some loot for like everybody else. But like, help yourself, man.
Oh, see, man.
I'm just kidding. That's not the good thing to do, but that's
Yeah.
definitely what I did as a kid.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not gonna like.
No, see, okay, so like I always went with my family. I think only like the last year I went out, I was allowed to go with a friend. But yeah, I went with my brother, my sister, my cousins, and all that. So like there was always people around me, and like my parents really instilled that like, hey, like you take one only. And so I like also wasn't really much of a rule breaker as a kid. I was very like shy and anxious and stuff like that. Like I had friends and
you don't
like
want to get in trouble. I feel
yeah,
that.
and I was just like, that was the real thing. My parents, I've grown up to learn, my parents aren't that like hard ass.
Yeah.
But for some reason as a kid, I was so fucking afraid of them. And I realize now I could have got away with fucking murder as a kid, and
Oh,
they would have loved me still. But like they instilled this kind of like fear into me that like they were these ultimate hard asses. And as I grew up, I'm like, you guys are like weak. You guys barely punished me. Not that I had much to be punished for, but like, you know, a punishment for me was, you know, go to your room, and then I had all my video games and my music and my, like, you know, and my toys in there. And, you know, I'm hearing other people's stories, and they're just like, yo, I got whipped. I got,
bro,
you know,
yeah,
I got
man,
the belt.
fuck, man. There's a whole ass
shit.
WWE match in my fucking childhood, man. Holy, man.
We'll have to go into that one day, man. But yeah, man, you know, getting back a little bit on topic about the spirit of Halloween here, I definitely have noticed that, yeah, like my expectations have diminished for it. And I think, yeah, it's everything we talked about. And but I am excited for our party that's happening this week. What's been bugging you lately, or are you disagreeing with me on this feel of holidays, or what's going on, man?
Honestly, I like holidays because it gives people a chance to just like relax, I think. And like honestly, like most of the times that's not what ends up happening. People just put on this whole like show for the holidays and end up stressing themselves out way more than they need to. But like I think it's good to have these like set days in everybody's schedules where we can just like collectively relax. But as Phil was saying earlier, you know, most of the times like people are working on those days too, right? So it's like I don't really like holidays for that, where it's like not always universal, where some people get the day off and some people don't, because I think that's kind of fucking stupid. But at the same time, you know, you can't shut down the world for one day, you know? Like, that's not necessarily
exactly
what
and,
people
like,
are trying to do with those.
I 100% get it, because, like, sometimes you're like, ah, shit, like, you're making dinner or something like that, and you're like, I'm low on potatoes, and you're like, go to the store, and it's like, oh, no, the grocery store is closed today. And it's kind of a pain in the ass, because you're like, damn, now we're not going to get, you know, our turkey or, you know, with mashed potatoes
Yeah, you
or whatever.
feel a way about
but
it,
then
for sure.
at the same time, I'm like, yo, there's people who are doing this exact same shit with their family, and they're like, I'd feel so fucking bad if they had to like, miss this time, you know. And you never know when it might be someone's last, you know, chance at a moment with their, like, you know, a loved one, or you know, family member or whatever, right? And you don't, I feel bad when you really want to like take away from that. And a lot of people, you know, sure, they might be able to ask for that time off, or like someone might trade them shifts, but I've worked for some horrible people, and that's not always the case, you know what I mean? And I just don't want to keep it to, you know, I get that you can't close everything down 100%. There's always going to be some people doing things to make the world turn, you know, but I don't know. That really harshes my buzz a little bit, and I really hate that, like, a lot of people are very selfish about the holidays.
Yeah, no, I feel that, man. I think that, like, a lot of people that get the most out of holidays are people that don't really, like, need the most to get, like, like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, you can have, like, a good time with nothing type people. So, like, I don't know. Like, holidays, like, for me personally, are, like, constant reminders just to be, like, appreciative of, like, you know, the things that I have and the time that I have. And, like, you know, like, I definitely, like, waste a lot of time, and holidays are a good excuse to waste time. So, like, I'm very appreciative for those. And, like, yeah, man, I think holidays are sick. But, like, I do, like, get what you're saying with, like, them, like, not having the same effect as they did when we were kids. Because, like, I remember being, like, super excited for things like Christmas and, like, things like, even things like my birthday, I don't really get excited for. Like, I haven't gotten excited for a birthday in years, you know?
Yeah,
And, like,
exactly, yeah. I'm not too big on birthdays anymore either. And it annoys my girlfriend a lot, too, because she's still a very big holiday person. She loves it, and she loves birthdays, she loves Christmas, and, like, so I'm kind of the Grinch in her world, where I'm just like, bah humbug, fuck these holidays.
Yeah, fuck these holidays. Straight up.
But yeah, you know, I'm still glad that there's people in the world that do keep the mysticism and the happiness for it. I think my whole job today on this podcast is going to be controversial, because I have a lot of controversial takes, and all of it revolves around my not liking holidays that much, or like or things associated with it. Because we'll hop into it real quick, actually, then I guess we'll transition here. I don't like The Nightmare Before Christmas, and that's fucking controversial as shit, man. I can already tell you like this movie.
I mean, this is a good movie.
You like this movie.
I like it. Honestly, I like the art of it, and like I really like how it's done, and like
everyone likes this movie.
Yeah, that's like a big selling factor for me. But what don't you like about it, though?
Okay. like I said, I'm gonna sound like a fucking Grinch. I'm gonna be controversial in this episode. Okay, we've just gone on about how I don't like holidays that much, and I think this also encompasses everything that I just don't really care for. It's a Halloween special, obviously, first and foremost, and you know, it goes on to involve a second holiday.
Damn.
It's a double whammy.
That's
so
what got you?
double fuck holidays. No, but for real. So you get Jack Skellington and he's fucking hanging around.
I think that your hate of holidays actually makes sense because it's like double the holidays. So it's like double the hate.
It's a double hate, man. Fuck,
like, fuck
two
this
holidays.
Shit.
I was promised one holiday in this holiday
like,
movie. I'm getting two.
Holiday,
Christmas and
bitch.
Halloween. Fuck. That's not what I expected.
What the fuck is this?
No, but for real. So you get Jack Skellington and fucking he's hanging around, and
I love that name, by the way, Skellington. I think that's so fucking funny.
Yeah. But yeah, he's hanging around and he's fucking doing Halloween shit, and he's getting all bummed out and he's just not feeling Halloween anymore, and something I can you fuck with.
Yeah.
But and then he just goes venturing off in the woods and he finds a portal to Christmas Town, all right? And then what's this? There's magic in the world. What's this? And then like it just goes into I'm also not a big fan of musicals, so
I
this
was
might
gonna
be
say the songs are a bit much
Yeah.
looking back on it because like
But yeah, so then
yeah.
he he's fascinated with like Christmas, and he's like, fuck it. He's like, we're gonna take Christmas Town outside of Christmas. He's like, we're gonna turn a whole Halloween fucking thousands of years fucking holiday, we're gonna turn Halloween into Christmas. And he comes back and he's just like gung-ho about Christmas. And then you get the side plot with I don't even remember her name, but like the zombie girl that gets made by the scientist. And then he's just like, he's like, it's the second time this week you've slipped me deadly nightshade, and he like catches it and he's like punishes her, and then she does it again for a third time like the very next day, and he doesn't catch it this time, and she's drinking the soup through the spoon and it's like slotted and all that, and he doesn't pick up on it, and like you're like, how's this man smart enough to catch her the first two times to create life? And like, I know I'm thinking way too hard about this movie,
no,
and
like I've never heard anybody like dissect it this deep.
Yeah, no, and like it's a good looking movie because it's well animated, it's well
say,
voice acted.
That's like a big,
like the songs are like
yeah.
there's no like I don't think any bad, like no one stands out, like they're like you're phoning in your performance, and I can understand why definitely people love it, but it's become so popular in pop culture that it's just this one thing that like I kind of roll my eyes every year when people are like, man, I watch this movie 800 times during Halloween, like, and I'll see people's Snapchat stories, I'll see their Instagram stories, they're like, oh, back at it again, watching Twitches or Twin Witches or whatever the fuck the movie is, and The Nightmare Before Christmas and Halloween Town and all these movies, and I'm like, you watch these every year and you watch them every night for the month of October. How do you not get bored of these movies? And I'm like, there's nothing super like. It's an okay movie. I don't really care for the plot, and like Oogie Boogie or whatever his name is kind of an okay villain.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, a lot of people like fuck with him. I don't really. He's kind of like there at the last part of the movie, and you're just kind of like, all right, he's kind of there and then dealt with, and hey, they're back to loving Halloween and Christmas, and But yeah, I just like people get these hard-ons for all these like Halloween movies, and it's just, like. There's only so much, I guess, medium and story that's enjoyable for me for a Halloween movie. Like I can watch, other big blockbuster movies probably a lot more than I can Halloween movies, and I'm probably getting the same enjoyment quality-wise as other people are getting from Halloween movies. Yeah. And I can understand that from that point, because if you watch Marvel's, the Avengers or any of their fucking movies, whatever you want to pick, or any big, Transformers, whatever, and at some point, it's probably not the best movie ever. It's not Citizen Kane, even though Citizen Kane I think is just okay too. But that's a different issue.
Damn, you got some hot takes.
I got some hot takes today, I'm telling you. But no, I probably get the same amount of enjoyment people are getting from other films. But I don't understand it. I don't understand how Halloween got to be one of the most obnoxious holidays in pop culture, and like I think the aesthetic is super dope, because like I do like pumpkins, and I like the whole nightmare, the whole dark theme that it has versus these other holidays, which are a lot more light and lighthearted. And I definitely think I should enjoy Halloween more, just on the premises that it's a lot more like I said, dark, and it's got
Yeah.
these vibes. But for some reason, I don't know if it's just pulp culture or if it's I don't know what, but something about it, just like this movie particular, just does not do it for me, and I just kind of roll my eyes every time I see people with merch or they're quoting it or whatnot. And like
Yeah.
I've given this movie so many chances, and I just don't fuck with it. I'm sorry.
I think that like you were saying before with seeing people like post on their like Snapchat and like all like watching like all these classics, there's like a certain nostalgia attached to it from like when that time period was
definitely.
when like Halloween really mattered to you. So like I think part of it is just like reliving those moments, you know, like getting excited to go out trick or treating. Maybe you watched it like before you went or some shit, and then like, you know, it's just like reliving those vibes. So I definitely like get it from that point. But yeah, a lot of these movies suck, man. Like a lot of these movies are really like meant for like a young like audience, and it's
And
like there's no way you can buy into it realistically, except for the actual Halloween series with my boy fucking Michael Myers up in that
yeah.
bitch. That shit is fucking sick. That shit is the sickest. Like the new one that just came out a couple years ago. That one was dope. Shot
Oh, yeah,
excellently. All the classics, you know, those are like the films that like I would personally go back to when I want to get excited about Halloween, because like AMC would always be playing them shits like after school,
Yeah,
or go
the horror
check that
movie
shit out.
nights.
Hell yeah. But yeah, man.
That's fair, but I'm like, I like continue on my hatred train here. I'm not a big fan of horror movies either.
Oh, don't tell me you don't like Halloween, bro.
I don't really care for Halloween, bro.
Oh, come on, man.
All
What
right,
the fuck?
here's the thing. I like movies, man. I ran a movie Twitter even, you know.
Yeah, no, I followed it.
And I
You
just,
want to plug that for the people, my man?
nah, I don't really use it anymore, man.
Oh, you don't use
I
it
don't
anymore?
use it anymore. Fuck
Oh,
it, man.
okay.
I
Never
got
mind.
a little bit of clout on there, and
He's shy about it.
I just
Okay.
got bored of it. Yo, Phil and Aman, though, you know, check the socials for that.
Okay.
Check the
I see
website.
it. I see
Plug that. But I mean, if you're listening at this point, you're probably checking it out already.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
But no, so yeah, like I ran that account, and I've seen a lot of fucking movies in my day, and it's one of my favorite mediums. And I fucking hate horror movies just in general. I was telling you a little bit about this, but as a kid, I watched one too many horror movies, aka my parents would watch them, and I would pretend to be asleep on the couch, or I would actually fall asleep and then I would like wake up halfway through, and it scared the shit out of me. I would watch The Descent, I watched The Hills Have Eyes, I watched all these fucking horror movies as a kid, and it really enjoyed the medium for me, just because I understand that a lot of it is the tenseness and the jump scares and all that, and I just don't really think jump scares are that creative of a way. I know there's other movies that don't do like a lot of jump scares and are still horror movies, but I really think like that is this, and that's really been the way a lot of these horror movies have gone over the years. I find that's to be a really cheap way of getting your horror in there, because it's easy to have a loud noise and then a face or something pop up on the screen, versus you can see something in the background and it's kind of slow, and it's just that builds up the tenseness of this bitch is about to get murdered, and she should sense that someone's in the and there's different scenes versus, and I can understand and respect a movie that does a lot more of that, the latter stuff there, where it's a lot more tense and it's a lot more not just trying to scare the shit out of you, just it's a lot more build up to the actual horror of the movie, but a lot of these early horror movies and from the the 80s and the 90s, early 2000s, I just don't really fuck with, because I feel I think a lot of them can be cheesy, number one, and
there's a certain
also
cheesy quality to
yeah,
it, for
but
sure.
number two, a lot of them just have like really shitty jump scares that I just kind of don't fuck with, and it scared me too much as a child. So
I feel it's a combination of it for you, eh? Like I definitely enjoy being like scared, but like scared in a way where it's just like I don't like jump scares per se, but I like really like chilling stories with like a couple jump scares thrown in there to keep it spicy, because like it's part of the fun of watching a movie, like just like those like screams and all that, and like I really like that, and like on top of like just watching movies like that, with like a lot of jump scares that don't really rely on the story. I think some of the best well done horror films are like ones that only rely like on the story, and like I think the interpretation of horror is like really up to the audience, because like you could call something like, I'm going out on a bit of a limb, but like, you could call something like a simple like film like Frozen a horror movie if you like really think about like the consequences of the characters, and you're really connected to those characters and you look at it from a certain perspective. So like to have something presented in a way that's supposed to be scary for somebody, I think some people just get that initial reaction of being turned off because it's just like, what do you know about what scares me? Or it's just like, you're just going too far, you know?
Well, speaking, Frozen or whatever, but like, definitely, I've seen all those like fan theories or like, oh, Frozen's a lot darker than it is.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
You know
I
what I'm
definitely
talking
agree
about
because like, I don't know if you remember the Chris Pratt movie and not Jennifer Aniston, but the Passengers.
Yeah.
And that was a lot. That's more of a thriller action type of thing. But I know a lot of people were trying to, because they weren't happy with the movie, myself included. But they were trying to make a recut of it where Chris Pratt is a lot creepier. And it's from what's her name? Not Jennifer Aniston. What am I? The girl from the Hunger Games, man.
Oh, the fucking Jennifer.
Why are we both blanking on this? I'm gonna Google this right now. But
you're talking about Katniss, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jennifer fucking wait, is it Jennifer? I don't want to be saying Jennifer.
Maybe
so
it's not even Jennifer. What's her name?
I don't want to be saying Jennifer.
I'm talking about random movie fucking Twitter, and it is Jennifer Lawrence.
Lawrence. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so it's from her perspective, and people were trying to, if they did some reshoots or like people were trying to take the base movie and try and cut it up more from her perspective.
Yeah.
But people were like, you flip this, and it's about this man who she thinks is the only other man. They both got accidentally woken up, and they're trying to live and then you slowly realize that he did this on purpose, and people were like, that would be a lot better as a fucking horror movie than what it is of a Chris Pratt being a depressed guy and be like, I'm gonna wake her up because I love her, and it's like more of like it's supposed to be a love story. And I think there's a lot of stories that have like these dark undertones that would work so much more as these horror movies if they had a little bit more fleshed out elements and were cut a little bit different. I don't know too much about Frozen because I haven't really seen that, but like I know there's a darker story about like the whole like one girl, she has ice powers and all that.
On top of like just like a little bit of a darker undertone too, like I think a lot of like films possess like a real life connection when people watch it, and like real life can be fucking scary sometimes, and there's a lot of real life moments that like are like fucking like sometimes I watch movies and it's like the smallest things will give me like an uneasy feeling about it, or like a certain like tension will be there that wasn't there before. It's just like small things like fucking like one thing that's like big for me is like open scenes of water, like because I'm fucking scared of water. So like movies that like involve just like water in it scare the fucking shit out of me. Obviously not shit like fucking Shark's Tale or whatever the fuck that is. The little animated joint. Yeah, the one with Will Smith.
I like that movie, bro.
But like like movies like Life of Pi and shit like that, like that's like one of my favorite books as well. But like when I was reading that, it was such like a tense story for me because of like my personal fear of water and all that, and like
for sure
my personal connection with it. So I think horror is like definitely like up for interpretation at all.
That's 100% fair too, because like I like thrillers. Like I love David Fincher's Seven. I love his show Mindhunter. And I love psychological thrillers. Like I was watching Zodiac, which is like almost a 3-hour movie about the Zodiac killer, and I love all these movies where they do have that dark vibe. They do have those tense moments where it builds up because you're not sure if this guy's about to get murdered or what's gonna happen, and whatnot. And I love the tension for 100%. And I definitely think a lot of horror movies, like we can talk about like Us. or Get Out.
I was
and
gonna
stuff.
save that. Yeah, but like yeah.
Sorry, we'll get into that a little bit more.
Because those are two. We can get into it now if you want. Like I fucking love those movies.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just carry on with my point then. But like those are.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. It's okay. It's okay. Those movies are, and like I noticed there's this trend of the renaissance for horror movies where these are becoming a lot more mainstream again, and more people are putting the time and the dedication into making these what they actually should be, and these true horrors, these not basic plots where where you're just like, oh, here's a killer, he's on the loose, he's gonna come slash you, oh, he somehow is traveling across like the whole country to murder all these people who are connected to his jail sentence, you know what I mean? But no, you're getting these actual like Get Out, these tense moments where you go back and you even the beginning of the movie when they're driving, and
like the deer
I know a lot of people
hit.
have pointed this out where they're driving and the cop pulls them over and she's like, you're not gonna, and in the beginning, first time you watch that, you're like, she's just being a good girlfriend. She's standing up for her. No,
but she's like just trying to be like, make sure there's no trace. She doesn't want a
record of them being there. When you go back and you watch that is creepy, man. That's so and that is what is good shit. That's one of the things I can respect, because it's an actual creepy
there's
moment.
Layers to it, and like I think like what you just like pointed out with like that thing where there's like the small detail that comes back later. There's like so many movies that are doing that like more in like a mainstream fashion. Like that's always existed in film, obviously.
Yeah,
with, like,
foreshadowing.
Tendencies. It's like pretty much like a basic principle of storytelling. Foreshadowing and all that. But like you're seeing it a lot more in like a way where it like ties into the story in little ways where only people that are paying attention are really like getting it. And it's like it's great that we have things like Twitter and like YouTube where people can make videos or like make little posts where it's like, oh, these are all the things that you missed and all that. But I think as a viewer, it's like it makes these movies worth watching again and again and again and again. And like the one thing that like I hate is like when something like a movie comes out and like it only makes you want to watch it once. Like I hate that about a movie. If like I watch a movie and like I only wanted to watch it once, then it's just like that was kind of a waste of time still. But with like other movies, it's like, okay, I watched it once, I got everything out of it. But like I don't know, with certain movies like Get Out and like definitely like Us was a big one too, with like the it plays more on like real subtle like creepy imagery and like the faces being like kind of distorted in the smile, but it's not like like a monstrous like distortion. It's like a human face being distorted in a way that a human would distort it.
Something slightly off, and you're just like your brain picks up that it's off.
Like if somebody smiled at you the way that the fucking people in Us smiled at you would be shitting your pants, man. That shit would be fucking scary as fuck.
Yeah, I'm fucking dipping out of there.
Yeah, that shit would be nuts.
these are the exact type of movies where like, and what I was talking about earlier, where it's not just jump scare horror. Like Jordan Peele is actually doing some crazy fucking shit. He's doing the renaissance for fucking horror films, man, and I'm really excited. He just came out, or he's coming out with one. What is it, Candyman or whatever? Yeah,
it's supposed to be the Candyman one. Yeah,
remake of that. And honestly, I'm happy for.
I'm excited as fuck.
Yeah, I'm happy for all
the
the excitement and the accreditation that he's getting, and all the hype, and he definitely deserves it, because he's definitely bringing I think life back into the medium.
Yeah.
And making movies that aren't just cheap, we're going to spend $1 million to make this cheap horror movie and we're going to make $50 million back on it because people just will see anything horror. He's spending these big budgets and making, more money back and getting these, these
I
awards.
think that, that's like an interesting point that you bring up with budgets, because like a lot of horror films like don't have big budgets. So it's like if you have a good story, like I'm talking about like a lot of like horror films that are like the critically acclaimed horror films from like back in the 80s and like 70s and like all that. Like they didn't have like huge budgets. They had pretty like minuscule budgets, but they got like a lot of fucking shit done within those budgets. So it's like you can have like these like new Hollywood horror films that just aren't gonna hit the mark because they're relying so heavily on that big budget and like all these special effects and how we're gonna make the ghost come out. Like the fucking Nun, did you see that one?
No, I didn't.
That shit was trash, dude. I would not recommend that shit. That shit fucking sucked. And like the only thing it had going for it was the special effects, and like honestly, minus the special effects, the story isn't scary at all. Like it's like pretty fucking dumb, and there's like a lot of holes in it. So it's like
and see, I don't want to say budget's the only thing for a horror movie, because like let's take a look at the Blair Witch Project, all right?
Yeah.
Scary shit when you first watch it, and like maybe
That's what I'm saying.
maybe a lot more when we were younger because of the whole marketing for it. Where it
That's
was like,
exactly what I'm saying.
this is real.
Low budget.
These
It's
people
like
fucking yeah, and like I don't even know what their budget is. I think it was like. I want to say like 20 to 50,000 or
yeah.
20 to 50,000 US or something like it was small.
It was, like,
and they
pretty
made
small,
a
yeah.
lot of money off it.
the thing was too is like the way they marketed it was so genius too, where it was like
Yeah.
they were like able to like capitalize off of like every penny that they spent on that project or like on that movie. It was like,
It had a lot of word of mouth, bro.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
like worth it.
And
yeah.
the whole, yeah, like I was saying, you know, those people were like, this shit is real. This actually happened to people. This is found footage. And they were one of the first in the genre. And then you take a look.
Actually, that's true. They were the fucking first
Yeah.
found footage film.
And then you take a look at like Paranormal Activity, which I think they spent like something like $1 million or whatever, and they tried to be another like found footage, and they made a lot of money and sequels. But
Yeah.
those were all like I didn't care for those movies at all, and I know I'm coming off as like kind of or like I'm downer on all these horror movies, but I've seen a lot of horror
The
movies.
thing
and
is
like,
too with like that franchise is like with a Blair Witch Project, you have like an independent group of like artists working on a thing to get it done. With these, you have a studio working on some shit.
that is 100% true.
So it's like those like little in between moments that made Blair Witch Project believable don't exist in Paranormal Activity, because it's like you don't have like a group of people with a camera trying to figure out how to make this shit look real. Like you just have a fucking kid that went to school and like some like dude that he's like being like mentored by, like being like, no, we have to shoot it like this,
Yeah.
and like you have to like get it done like this and like all that.
100%. It just, it kind of just annoys me in general, just the, just all these horror movies and cliches and, yeah, exactly. But no, yeah, like I've said my piece on it. Like I don't think I'm ever going to like horror movies that aren't art pieces, or not even art pieces, that aren't inspired. Cause like,
Yeah.
you can say Jordan Peele's, like, they're not just art house movies. They're not just beautiful for the sake of being beautiful. They actually have a plot, and they're like I said, whole renaissance with that. So until I start getting a lot more movies like that, I just don't really care for the genre, and he's the only one kind of keeping me into the genre at this point. And yeah, I mean, maybe I'll just get called a hater. Fuck it. That's my piece, man. I'm being the villain on this podcast.
I do agree with you in like a certain, obviously, like I do have like my soft spot for slashers and like Friday the 13th and like all that kind of shit, and like I have like a certain like standard for new horror films, but I don't have a standard for old horror films, if that makes sense. Like I'll watch anything old that's like, because it's like it's history at the end of the day. It's art at the end of the day. Like the original fucking why am I blanking? Shaun of the Dead zombies and all that.
Okay,
like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
that kind of makeup and like all that kind of shit. Or like Boris Karloff back in the day with his like Frankenstein get up to his like Dracula get up to like all these like different characters he played. Like it's still like,
I think you meant Dawn of the Dead, by the way. Shaun of the Dead.
Sorry, fuck yeah.
No, okay. I know exactly what you meant. I'm just clarifying for everyone.
There's
listening.
a name for those zombies though. I was trying to fucking by like the makeup artist that did it.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about, right?
I think so, yeah.
Fucking, but those like zombies are like, like the reason to go back and like watch those kind of things, just see how like the makeup was done, or like see how like they got their shit off,
Honestly, I love practical effects. We'll have to do a whole a movie episode in the future, because I could probably talk a lot about it. But I do like practical effects a lot more, especially in horror, just because the makeup and the scenery and the believability actually, like, I think instead of being CGI, I think the practical effects really help that, and it really helped like sell the movies, even though in the 80s, like you're saying, they're cheesy.
Yeah.
And there's reasons to go back and watch them, and even though I kind of harped on them a little bit earlier in saying I don't really care for them, but like there are reasons why some people would go back, and I do think there's aspects of it where they're golden, and I think they're better than today's movies.
Yeah, most definitely. I definitely don't think that there's like a heart in like a lot of the movies that come out now, because it's so easy to produce a movie now, versus like back then it was like tape and like a lot of like reel that you had to do, and like a lot of processing that you would have to do in order to
I get
editing.
what you're saying now, yeah.
Versus like now it's just like you can literally just like have like a pocket full of SD cards and get like a movie done if you like really wanted to, if you had like a heart to do it,
I agree and I don't agree at the same time, but like I said, we'll have to probably like do a whole episode on on movies in general, and we can talk about our favorites and more effects and I'll plug my branded Twitter again for my film and fuck that Twitter account.
Why don't you want to promote it, man?
Because I'm just done with
You
it.
shy, eh?
Yeah.
It's okay.
I want to switch gears here though. Now we kind of had the hate-filled episode, or parts of the podcast so far. I want to switch gears and I want to talk about some things I do enjoy about Halloween.
Okay.
And that's about some of these parties I've been to.
Okay.
All right. So, I've been to quite a few, parties in general, but Halloween parties especially. And there's this one house that we used to go to, and we called it the Trap House.
Oh, shit.
And it's actually here in this neighborhood, just a little bit down. But it's in this nice neighborhood, and you would never think that it was this ugly looking house. But when you went inside, man, they didn't have flooring, they didn't have wallpaper or
Dude, you went inside to get the candy?
Oh no,
you're at a party. Sorry,
yeah, I'm at a party, bro. I'm not.
Damn, I thought you were
kid.
talking about trick or treating for a
Oh
second.
no, that would be a
why.
darker story if I went in someone. No, but
I was like, damn, bro, you went inside to get candy? What the fuck?
no, but yeah. So, we were in this house, and there's not really much flooring, and you could see the structures of the wall because there wasn't any wallpaper or drywall or anything.
What the
It was
fuck?
one of the washrooms was downstairs in their basement, and it was just a toilet in the middle of the room surrounded by their laundry, their hockey equipment, and it was so weird. And people would always just kind of walk down there either to go make out or or to try and use the washroom. You're kind of just standing there, you dig out, and it was really weird. But anyway, we used to go all the time for parties here because it was a really fun place to go because it was people of varying ages, and there was always shit that got up and happened. And so this one Halloween we're there and we're vibing with people we haven't seen in a while, and we're playing beer pong, we're getting drunk and whatever, and pretty much anything went at this party. And we're out in the back and we're rolling up some blunts and we're just going around and in a circle and we're having fun, and out comes these people, and this girl and this guy, and they're like, oh, is anyone else out here? And we're like, no, and they're like, oh, okay. And then they go away for a little bit, and then we come back, and we're just finishing up smoking, and we're gonna go back inside the house, and they're like, oh, anyone still out here? And just you guys? And we're like, no, it's just us. So we're going back in through the back of the house, and they go out in the back. Fucking
I was when they started fucking.
Yeah, they started fucking, bro. I'm gonna be real. But here's the thing. So we're coming inside, and those guys are out in the backyard, and we had to go through this garage hall type of thing to get back inside. And as we're coming back in, another guy's just like, oh, hey, anyone out there? And we're like, I don't really know if anyone's out there. We kind of just yeah, whatever, because we're high, and we're just we knew exactly what they're doing, and we wanted this guy to kind of walk in on them.
Oh, no.
So, he's like, okay. He's like, I'm going to go and smoke. He's like, anyone want to join? We're like, no, we're good, man. We're just gonna and so he rushes out there to go smoke, and fucking boom. And then he runs back in, and he's just like, nope. And fucking, and we all start laughing. We're chilling in the kitchen at this point, and we're all just fucking, yeah, we made this guy walk in on
That's
them fucking.
That sucks.
But hold on, it gets worse. It gets worse, man.
Traumatized.
It gets worse. I'm telling you. Fucking, so anyways, these guys come back in or whatever, and I guess they got caught, so they're looking for a room and all that, and so they go up and sneak away to the host room, I think, which is weird to me. I've never understood why people fucking other people's beds like that.
That's fucking gross.
Anyways, so we're still chilling in the kitchen, and all of a sudden, this fucking girl runs downstairs in a fucking mess, and she's fucking vomited all over herself, guy. 5 minutes later, and we're like, what the fuck? She's got puke all on her. She's fucking, and she goes up to my friend and just and fucking gets puke all over her, and she's like, what the fuck? And she's like, I need you to help me undress. I threw up on myself. And we're like, what the fuck is happening here, bro?
Wait, that's the girl that was upstairs with the dude?
That was...
What the fuck did he do to her? What the fuck?
I think she was just too drunk and fucking vomited in the middle of fucking... Anyways,
why is he fucking helping her?
Vomited on her, probably because he was cleaning up the mess upstairs. I'm trying to think.
Probably,
so yeah, but and then she starts stripping in the kitchen, bro. Fucking, my friend's trying to help her fucking...
Oh shit, that's not
take
good.
off her clothes, and she's just stripping in the middle of the kitchen, and we're like, what the fuck is going on at this party, man? And fucking everyone is just like, what? Can someone get her some clothes? And so the host had to go up to their room and fucking, clean up their room. And fucking clean up this girl's puke and realize that fucking these people, I don't even know if they knew him that well or if they were just like friends of friends that were there, because I was a friend of a friend. I didn't really know the people that were hosting too much, so I felt really bad for the host that had to now clean up this and realize people were fucking in their bed, and I felt really bad for my friend that had to help clean up this girl that was covered her in puke too, because she got it on her trying to like help her undress. And yeah, it was a fucking wild time, man. That was one of the wildest, I think, Halloween parties I've ever fucking been to.
That shit sounds crazy.
Yeah, and like I said, we've been to a few parties at this trap house. I think that was definitely the wildest Halloween. But you know what? I'll save you can. Do you want to tell a story, or should I go into another one real quick?
Oh, you can go into another one if you want. Yeah.
I got another one of my friends, and he looks like Mac Miller.
Okay.
All right. He hates it, bro. Obviously, rest in peace to Mac Miller real quick. Yeah. But he hated it just because he doesn't believe they look the same at all. And this was when, back when Mac was alive or whatever, so there was no like ill intention or anything like that. Yeah. But we used to go to parties and we used to get people to like, or not get people, but we used to like count how many times people would ask him if he was Mac Miller. So one day we're back in this trap house, and it's like the year after this girl vomited, so a couple years ago now, and we're playing beer pong, and there's this guy and his girlfriend, and they were dressed up as like the sexy cop, and he was the inmate and whatever. He was a really nice guy, and we played beer pong. We got drunk with him. We smoked with him for a little bit and like all this shit. And he at the end of the night, he came up, and me and my friend are playing beer pong, and he comes up and he's like, "Hey man," he's like, "I'll keep it a buck with you." He's like, "I'll keep it quiet." He's like, he's like, "I won't tell anyone." He's like, "But I gotta ask." He's like, "Are you the real Mac Miller?" He's like, "I'll keep it a secret, I promise." And my friend, he's drunk. He's heard it already. It annoys the shit out of him. And me and my friends burst out fucking laughing. He rolls his eyes. He's like, "Nah, man." He's like, "It's not me." He's like, "I just look, he's like, I look like him, I guess," and all that. And you could see he's like, that the guy was kind of embarrassed for asking him, and like he was loaded at that point, so he's probably looked a lot more like him when he's drunk and all that.
That's true. So you actually thought it was him,
yeah,
right?
and like it wasn't just a one-time occurrence. Like this happened at a lot of parties, but this one was fucking hilarious just because even in costume, he kept getting fucking asked if he was Mac Miller, and for some reason I don't know why this guy thought he would be in our small little town just chilling at this trap house location. Yeah. But it was a great memory, great night. Fucking it always makes me laugh to know that it bugs my friend so much.
That's actually crazy.
Yeah,
though, that like even in costume that people are still asking him.
Yeah, like I just have no idea why he thought like Mac Miller would be in a costume at a shitty little fucking Canadian party in the trap house with like 20, 30 people in this shitty little house. But he was so convinced, and he was whispering to him. He's like, "I promise to keep it secret." Like he wanted it so badly to be really Mac Miller in a costume on Halloween. Like he thought he just lucked out, and no, it turns out it was not him at all.
That was jokes.
Bro, real quick, I was supposed to go to a party one time, and luckily I didn't because there was some guns pulled at this like backwater. Like I don't know, like it wasn't even that big of a party, man. Yeah.
Wait, this was like here?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I was fucking hanging out with some friends, and we were just supposed to be. My friend he has a like finished basement, and like part of it is like a bar area. Yeah. And anyways, we were there, and there's usually about like 10, 15 of us or whatever at his house, and we were partying or whatever, and then he's like, "Yo, let's transition to this bigger party I know, right?" And I was like, "Oh man, I'm not really feeling it." I was just like, I was trying to stay in, not like whatever. And he's like, no, come. And then like the ride situation, like we were gonna have to like take like 3 different Ubers, and I was like, "Fuck it, man, just cross me off the list. Like I'll just go home. Like you guys save a person, save an extra Uber or whatever, right?" And a few other people were like, "Yeah, we're not really up for it." But I was supposed to go, and next time I found out, there was some guns pulled. Like one guy had a pistol, and the other guy was like, "Well, I live here on a farm," so he's just like, "I'm gonna get my shotgun."
Oh, fuck.
Which not legal at all. But yeah, man. So like, it got really fucked up, and I'm really glad I didn't go to that party. But that's a little bit of a tidbit of some parties I fucked up.
Yeah, definitely. No, I feel you.
But we're gonna keep it a buck and switch some more gears here, talking about Halloween, not just random parties. Have you noticed in our area though, a lot of people go all out for their Halloween decorations?
Some people do. Like I've noticed that like in like my particular like neck of the woods, there's a lot more families with like kids and shit.
Yeah.
So like they're like those are like typically the ones that are doing that. But like a lot of like the older people that like I've known on like my street for like years since like I was like a little kid, and like they're not doing anything different.
Okay.
You know, like they just got like the one little like peel on fucking window sticker in the front.
That's
you know, the garbage bag full of leaves with the little pumpkin on it.
Yeah.
You know what it is.
No, people in my area, like especially as a kid, really go all out, man. Like I'm talking, there's like a few on my street. There's a few, like around the surrounding blocks, 10, 12 blocks around, there's quite a few houses, and I don't know if they like do a competition or whatever, but I remember as a kid, the one, and he still does this to this day, he had like pressure plates and everything, so you would walk on it, and then the trash cans would start like clanging as people walked
would start like
over
moving and banging and shit.
He had like scary music, he had the flashing strobe lights, he had like shit like moving on like a fucking line and all that, and like I've noticed like, I don't know if it's just like an uptick in this year just because of COVID and stuff like that, but I feel like a lot more people have done like extra, especially in my area, these elaborate get-ups. And this one actually just like right up the street from me, they have like a whole little like scene almost of like all these monsters and shit, like having like a lunch or like a tea party or whatever. And the scariest fucking thing, I was driving the other day, and one of the fucking owners, the wife of the house or whatever, she was just sitting in with and like sitting and reading her book in with it. So I was just kind of like admiring it because I had just set it up, and I was looking over and admiring and all that shit. And I'm driving past, and fucking I'm like, oh cool, like they got their scarecrows, they got their mannequins and shit out, and then fucking this girl looks up at me. I'm like, holy shit, man, fucking I thought she was part of the decorations. I thought it was just a fucking another mannequin, and it absolutely scared the shit out of me. And like, that's what I'm talking about, like people just stepping up their game too. And I noticed that more and more people are getting these elaborate get-ups, and not that they scare me as much anymore, besides that one obviously. But that one fucking really got me the other day, and I'm just really admiring how cool some of the decorations are this year are. And I know they do like a lot of these houses around here too also do like a lot of like Easter and Christmas decorations too. Like I don't know if you ever go on that drive that they have there, but I don't know, as a kid there used to be one area closer to like Waterloo that had like a whole street full of like Christmas lights and stuff like that, and like a lot of them really got into that really whole Christmas vibe and all that. But yeah, like I just really appreciate that a lot of these people are still trying to do crazy shit for Halloween this year, and even stepped up their game.
Yeah, stepped up their game for sure. I think that like kids not being able to trick or treat is like a big thing this year, and which is like obviously the most safest thing. And like, if a kid comes to your door, don't give them anything, man. Like like what the fuck. I heard somebody saying that on fucking like the little YouTube stories thing, somebody was like talking about how they're gonna let their kid go this year and like all this shit. I'm like, how the fuck does that work, man? Nobody's gonna give the kid candy, and like
or they'll put out one like bowl full of candy, and then we'll get someone like Aman just go and take all the candy for the other people.
I did it in my childhood, bro. I would do that now, man. I'm a law-abiding citizen now.
I'm a law-abiding citizen. Good movie.
But even with stuff like that though, like would you be able to leave like a bowl like that? Because that would be like cross-contamination if like one kid grabs it. And then
I don't know if this is for everyone, but I heard some people are doing it where they're doing individually wrapped bags, and they're putting them like across the lawn on like sticks or skewers or something like that. So you come and you take like the skewer or whatever, and then like that way you're not coming in contact with anyone else's. You're not just reaching into a bowl full of candy where 800 kids have put their hand inside.
That's the thing though, because like at that point it's just like it's such a hassle to like do that.
No,
like,
I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Like you just want to sit down and relax. Like we were talking about, holidays are meant to like relax. You don't want like fucking kids ringing your doorbell every like 5 seconds. To, like, get like your setup back up and all that kind of shit. It's just easier if like they ring the doorbell and you give it to them. But obviously you can't do that now because of like.
No, I definitely I feel for the kids, because obviously like a lot of younger kids like they're missing out on vital childhood moments, and I know a lot of people just like doing it because like they're good people, or like, you know, they love Halloween themselves and they want to pass on some
maybe
more
they're
of
like
that
dressing
joy.
up or something. You know.
But I definitely don't know how it's gonna work this year, and I don't know if some people are just gonna say fuck it and be like, oh, well, or if our kids get COVID, you know, type of thing. Well, I guess we'll have to see. I'm more in favor of those safe methods where, you know, people are doing them on the sticks. Or I think, you know what I think we should do, bro?
What?
I think we should just fucking throw kids at, you know, candy at kids. Just fucking aim for their head, bro. I'm fucking, here's this, you know, 90-mile-an-hour fucking bag of chips to the head. Boom! Fucking bean them.
Can you imagine, bro? Oh my god, man. There's some kids on my street, man. Holy fuck, man. They don't get out the way when I'm trying to go down the street and shit. They'll blatantly do it too, man. They'll fucking, they'll come up real close to the car and shit.
Maybe we should take away Halloween from
man, fuck, man. I get a bag of potatoes for that shit. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that.
We love kids here, right?
Yeah, we love kids.
Yeah.
They're just fucking annoying sometimes on the street, bro. Cause like you'll be going down that shit, they see you going. Like the kids on my street aren't as bad as some of the kids in like my girlfriend's area. The kids are like fucking bad, dude. Like you turn in
man,
there.
I know. Yeah, fuck those kids. I hate
those
them
kids
too.
are animals. Those kids are fucking savages.
They yell at her.
They're
Yell
like
at us,
clapping and shit. They're doing like a little fucking dance. It's kind of cute still, but it's just like, bro, get the fuck out the way, man.
There's like 800 of them because their parents just fucking had.
Their parents are like in that little group meeting, you know, like that little circle,
man.
the circle of Karens that's fucking at the
Fuck
corner.
those people. I hate that. Yeah,
Oh
I know
my
exactly
god,
who you're
dude!
talking about.
Every time I turn in there, cause like I always go like up and around, so I can like just stop with like the passenger side on like her side of the house.
Oh, you go around? I make her get it. Fucking, make her walk around the car.
Damn rude, bro.
Yeah, true.
Anyways, so like basically like whenever like I pull up in there, it's just like those fucking Karens like fucking stare at me, bro.
For real,
the
man.
dirtiest looks, man.
Assholes. I had to park the one time. Like I was running in just to drop. I think she was sick or something. I just like was dropping her off Gatorade or some shit the one time. But I parked in someone else's spot, I guess, by like the one and by chance, because it's like the parking there is fucked. But the amount of time, the 2 minutes I ran up to drop her off fucking the Gatorade or whatever and ran out, oh dude, they were pissed that I was in their parking spot. I was like, what are the fucking chances you came home here, man? I hate people in her area. But yeah, fucking that's a whole different But yeah, man, I think we're gonna wrap it up here with a little bit of some movie reviews of Halloween movies we do enjoy. And this is probably gonna be a little bit, you know, surprising for me because apparently I do like a Halloween movie. I'm gonna give you a Monster House on the way out here. You ever watched that one, Aman?
Monster House? Yeah, I watched that one growing up.
Yeah, 2006 animated one. I know people are probably gonna be like, that's fucking worse than the Nightmare Before Christmas or whatever. It's fucking garbage compared to. But no, for real, I like this movie. It starts out with two little boys, not even little. I'd say they're probably like middle school age. And the one kid wants to go out for his last Halloween because they're getting older, and the other kid's like, fuck that shit, or we're too old. And there's a house across the street, and there's an old man that lives in it, and he's the fucking asshole of the neighborhood, the town. And they fucking believe that the house is haunted and it comes alive. Spoiler alert, it does actually come alive. And the old man is keeping people away from there because the house will eat them if it, either step on the lawn or whatever. And the two boys and this one girl, they ended up seeing the house come alive and fucking tries to eat the girl, and the boys save her from when she's like selling candy and shit. And they're like, holy shit, like this fucking house is dangerous or whatever. Turns out that the old man has like a heart attack or whatever, and he goes to the hospital, and like no one's there to guard the house from like eating people anymore. So like, fuck it, it's on us middle schoolers to destroy the house. And they try and venture inside, and they get caught by police, and the police get eaten and fucking